So I'm Marlyn Hendricks. I'm from the city of Cape Town. So I'm from the Energy Directorate and I'm a project manager specifically looking after renewable energy projects. Okay. So I started at the city about 3 years ago and the project was basically already initiated. So I took it basically from the early days initiation right up to where it is now, where the contractor has been appointed. We're busy with the detailed design and we'll probably do construction within August. So the project really is one of a number of initiatives that the city is busy with, and the main reason is really around mitigating climate change, reducing our carbon emissions so we can meet the 2030, 2050 targets, and then the ESCOM performance in terms of technical performance, load shedding. We need to also diversify our energy mix. And then the last one is around the tariff increases of ESCOM. So with us generating the electricity from solar, we can do it much cheaper. So we'll have like savings in terms of ESCOM purchases as well. So we can mitigate some of the tariff. So Atlantis is a 7 megawatt plant and it can possibly in future be a 10 megawatt with battery energy storage as well. So typically you'll have like a private company that will go and do the development of the project, they will build it, and then they will sign a power purchase agreement with the local government, ESCOM. So in this case, we're doing all of that ourselves. So we're using our internal staff, resources, funding to actually develop the project, build it, and then we'll own it for the next 20 years as well. So I think from that perspective, it's unique. It hasn't been done yet in Cape Town, and a lot of the municipalities is now starting to catch on in terms of that as well. Definitely the procurement is one of the biggest challenges. So with the current procurement supply chain policies we have in place, it's not set up for generation type of projects. So it's more set up for a normal construction project where you have a consultant and the consultant develop like a bill of material and a bill of quantities and specifications. Then you go out on another contract to do the construction. But in our case, with the generation plant, you need it to perform at a certain level, be available when you need it, and operate at a certain performance. So there really needs to be one point of accountability. And for that reason, the typical procurement or contracting strategy is engineering, procurement and construction. But in terms of our supply chain policy and regulations, it's not geared for that type of strategy. So we had to face many challenges in procurement by getting a new form of contract first of all. And then we went out on tender and we didn't get a tender the first time around. We had to go out again. And that was really also because we didn't understand the market, what the market requires in terms of like evaluating the experience. We were hoping the mainstream IPPs would tender, but they didn't because they were not interested in our small 7 megawatt plant. So the ones that were interested in it didn't qualify because our criteria was a little bit too stringent. So knowing those kind of things made it very difficult because we had to go out and tender twice. And then with us doing this for the first time, you also want to maximize the operations and maintenance because you need to transfer the skills. Once the operations and maintenance is complete, you need to take over the plant, operate it, and you need to make sure that that period is long enough for you to transfer the skills, train all the people, gain the competence that you need. But with this one being schedule driven, time pressures, we needed to complete it as fast as possible. So we needed to reduce that operations and maintenance to avoid some of the procurement processes that we had to go through if we had to commit longer than 3 financial years. So definitely procurement was one of the main challenges. And then some of the others was to justify spending money that could possibly go for housing or basic services on a generation plant. Yes. So I think from that business case perspective, we also had a big challenge in terms of getting buy-in from the council and the different investment committees as well. One of the big successes, in my opinion, was the fact that the City of Cape Town adopted the project management framework. So that really gave us the required governance to make sure that we do proper development before we go to the next phase. Because typically what could have happened was we don't have a project management framework or any type of governance in place. We as a project team will go out and we will assume this is feasible and viable, and then we go out and spend 200 million, and then we end up with a big mistake, a loss. So having that governance in terms of your project management in place really gave us the opportunity to first develop a certain part of the project, go back, review it, get our investment committees to basically agree, and then go to the next one until we got to this point now. And we're going to continue moving forward with the project management structure as well. So I think in terms of getting that in place was definitely one of the big successes. And then obviously having gone through the procurement, getting a successful tender, I think even though it was a challenge at the beginning, we now know what to do. And for other projects that we're embarking on, we can now incorporate those changes as well. And then obviously the land. With the land, there's also competitive or competition for housing, for example, for developing it to business or industrial, or even selling it and using that funding. So for us, getting the land and being able to develop the solar PV plant on it was also one of the big successes as well. I think it's very important for the industry because we don't want another municipality to make the same mistake that we make. If we could have shared those lessons, because at the end of the day, it's all money that we pay as taxpayers that is being wasted. If you make mistakes, for example, going out procurement twice or agreeing on certain contract terms that was not feasible in the beginning. So if we go out and share and we actually collaborate as municipalities, I think we can do it a lot quicker, faster, and more successful.